Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. This is where I talk about random topics. I've scribbled on a post-it while typically exhausted and driving through arseholes. Or, traffic, people. Okay, so there's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do swear and I do talk about sensitive topics. If you don't want to hear about that shit, you don't have to. I'm not going to make you. I don't have some kind of psychic gift, not that kind of psychic gift, or I can force people into doing things. If you don't want to hear that shit, don't listen. That's you. That's your prerogative. Anyway, I also swear profusely because basically when I was a kid, my parents used to wash my mouth out with soap and punish us for various reasons, including one for swearing. So I swear now and I enjoy myself. So if you don't want to hear me swearing, you don't have to hear me swearing. You can turn it off. It is Thursday. I'm fucking exhausted. And like most people on a Thursday driving to work, I'm really challenging myself, hence the reason today's topic is challenging yourself. I'm really fucking exhausted. I'm speaking, I think, mostly for the rest of the teachers. If you are a teacher, you'll know what it is coming up to the last 2 weeks of term where we are just fucked and we don't want to do anything. Pretty much my energy level is gone. The caffeine isn't hitting at all. I've got to play nice with a bunch of kids who realistically are ready to go on holiday themselves and they don't want to do fuck all, but what they do want to do is fuck around with their friends. So I'm fucking tired. And if I'm not polite at work, I might lose my job. So it's an interesting 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of term. Everybody's just like, fuck this, I want to go home. I think I spent the most of the morning just swearing about having to go to work today, but I guess that's most people really. Challenging yourself. Today I'm challenging myself to turn up. So I'm fucking tired, man. I'm just fucking tired. But then again, I do stupid stuff like get up at 5 and work on my businesses and then go to work. What I did yesterday was I got in from work, got my nails done, went to the gym, got home at like 11 and then woke up at 5 again because I'm a fucking moron. But who needs to burn down candles when you just burn down the house? It's not both ends, it's all ends. So that's my poor life decisions. Challenging yourself. So if you've grown up in any kind of challenging environment, you're going to find that your resilience is probably higher than most. People who are growing up in these soft cock environments aren't really challenged. Ooh, Triumph. Sorry, I'm just looking at motorbikes again. Sorry, I got like a attention span of a squirrel. People who grow up in challenging environments tend to have better resilience. They also have a more aggressive approach to life, I find. Whether they use it in a destructive way, I don't know. I used my anger in a constructive way because it was more a case of I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction of treating me like shit and letting it tear me down. That was my form of pettiness, and it is a bit petty, but it's constructive pettiness, If I had turned around and said, oh, woe betide me and everything's horrible, I'm just going to spiral down and let everything collapse on me, I will fuck up my life, and I'm just not going to give them the satisfaction of having that over me. That's also a trauma response if you're interested. Generally, it's oppositional defiance, but in a good way. It's like, that's what they want. You know when you're like in high school and if someone bullies you and they want to see you collapse in on yourself and give up and feel bad and destroy yourself, they get off on it. I've met quite a few people like that. It's the sad, pathetic approach to dealing with people. People feel bad about themselves or insecure about themselves, so they'll sit there and rip on the other people, try and drag them down. I mean, of course, my reactions are reactive to the bullies kind of mentality, which is not really good. I should be able to ignore them at my age, but my reaction is to be an asshole back. So I don't know how petty that is, really. Probably shouldn't do that, guys. It's like, aren't you supposed to turn the other cheek? It's like, dude, it's an asshole. I'm gonna turn my other asshole cheek. I don't know. Just moon them. But it's the pettiness. It's like at our age, because I'm nearly 40 now, I'm 38, you shouldn't be bullying people. I was like, I don't know what kind of level of immaturity you've got where you need to drag other people down to make yourself feel better. But it just makes me into an instant asshole. I instantly get like, no, I'm not doing this, fuck you. Right, I'm going to show you how to be an asshole. Which is kind of bad. Probably shouldn't do that. So I'll rip someone out for just being a dick. You know, it's they don't like it though, because then you come across as the asshole. So anyway, long story short, I need to find a way to mediate my anger issues. It's like, just chill, just calm down. Just realize that these people are intensely insecure, and the only reason they're giving you shit is because they have a lot of mental shit themselves. Just that's what we need to do, is just isolate ourselves from the situation. A lot of my shit right now is dealing with PTS, so I'm sort of trying to, what do they call it? Escalate and de-escalate my responses, my trigger responses, which is behavioral cognitive theory. Cognitive behavioral theory? Oh my God. You expose yourself to shit experiences on a lesser scale so that you can, on a grander scale, when you're actually faced with the real problem, like say it's an asshole at work, I will condition myself in the background when the asshole's not around to deal with the stress response which comes from interacting with those pricks. So in the gym at the moment, I'm sitting there, and I have been for a couple of years now, since about, what's the year? What year is it? 1985. That's my birth year. There's something Freudian in that. Since, what was it, when did I join the gym properly? Christ, I think it was 2020. No, 2019, I'd say. That's when I really intensely started building up a tolerance to just stresses, because I didn't want to be able to explode in the workplace, especially around my kids, because I'm a teacher and it would just be horrendous for them. Fuck the adults. I don't want to show up badly for them. So I've been working on overexerting myself physically, because I know once I get to that fatigue level, my tolerance for bullshit just goes out the window. I tend to get snappy, and I have a very low tolerance for idiots. I don't know if that's ASD, I don't know if that's trauma, I don't know, just personality quirks. It's like, I do not suffer fools gladly. That's been me as a kid as well. My parents comment on that like regularly. It's like, you never suffer fools gladly. I'm like, well, why are they being fucking idiots? I don't know. It's like, that could be autism. I don't know. I have been diagnosed as. I just thought I was surrounded by fucking idiots, and I have trouble dealing with people who actively go out of the way to act stupid. There seems to be no excuse. But then again, my mom did cultivate an environment as a kid where failure was not a possibility. Well, it was a possibility, but the result was not a great idea. The backlash you'd get from her was not desirable as a child. Physical correcting, we call it. Negative reinforcement, I guess. You got the shit kicked out of you, basically. So if you fail, you're not going to survive, well, you're not going to have a good time. So these days I do have problems with people who act like idiots around me. I cannot stand extroverts because of that. It's like being a fucking idiot and then drawing attention to yourself as you be a fucking idiot. I'm sitting there going, you are, you know? So I'm an introvert. But yeah, I mean, I could go on tangents about how much I dislike people who just act the fool. But then again, I do enjoy fail videos. But I also enjoy consequence. I'm a connoisseur of consequence. When people act stupid, I like the result. I'm sitting there going, yes, that's what we were told would happen, and this has happened, great. It seems to be working, and the equation is correct on both sides. But, you know, you got to challenge yourself sometimes, not just mentally, physically, but also emotionally. A lot of people these days have taken their emotions and stuffed them down. It's a case of, you know, necessity. A lot of people are facing a hell of a lot of stress these days, particularly in the last couple of years. And we say that every year. It's like, oh, the last couple of years have been horrible. But realistically, you've had... I'm blaming Harambe. I know people go, ever since Harambe was, you know, shot. This poor gorilla. Everything went tits up. And I'm sitting going, well, yeah, that kind of feels like the trigger. Something in the ether. But, you know, in the last couple of years, it's got really intensely bad, and it's going to get worse as well, because it feels like shit's getting sorted out. It seems to feel like there is a great energetic shift. A lot of conflict is rising in order to get sorted. I mean, it's been an ongoing process probably for eons, but at the same time, at this time, it feels aggressive. A lot of shit that we thought was buried is now coming back up. For example, Gaza Strip, fucking Russia, diseases that were trapped in ice are now coming back. And I was sitting there going, fuck's sake. Greenhouse effect, which we thought we got rid of with the hole being closed up or whatever, which they told us it was because the CFCs are gone, or is not. So there's a lot of what the fuck going on. People getting stressed, there's economic crisis. Millennials are sitting there going, well, we've known nothing but crisis, so fuck you. I remember in year 10 freaking out because Iraq was, going down, and we were looking at another world war plus the millennium bug. We're sitting there going, I don't know what's fucking happening. I'm just trying to finish my exams. Can we just get out of school first before you guys really fuck things up, you boomer fucks? And then it got worse after that. So if you're a millennial, you've been sitting in crisis for a fucking long time. I don't remember the last time I was fucking relaxed. I don't. And given the upbringing I've had, which was a poverty cycle based upbringing with abuse, I don't think I've ever fucking relaxed. So, it's been interesting. So we challenge ourselves to keep going, don't we? I mean, no one's going to sit there and quit and go, fuck this. You might get tired, you might get angry. Most people are getting angry, but you got to find some way to channel that anger into something constructive other than just drinking drugs and fucking up the rest of your life. It's like the giving up. During like the Black Death, people did a lot more drinking and shit and fucking around because they thought that was the apocalypse. It's not the fucking apocalypse because we've got all of this since, and that was the 1600s in Europe. Black Death, I think it was the 1400s and the 1600s. I think it happened in waves. So if you imagine this being a wave, then there's probably more to come. So there's no point just giving up and fucking up because you're going to really regret it later on. But then again, no one really wants to look at history anymore because I just want to live in the now, which is a load of bullshit because you're supposed to be looking at the past to live in the now, to project to the future. It's like we're supposed to be looking at all three. Anyone who sits there and says, I just want to live in the now is just like, if I close my eyes, it won't be a problem. It's like, yes, it will be a fucking problem. You're going to have to address this shit up front. Otherwise, you're going to be paying for it later. Which is why we're seeing so many cyclic patterns in human behavior in society at this point. It's like a lot of shit's just traveling around in cycles and no one wants to deal with it because they haven't seen what happened in the past. Gaza Strip, for example, that war has been going on for fucking eons. Same as the one in Jerusalem. You've had the troubles in Ireland, same shit. There's so many wars, African wars. Middle East has been like a hot seat for wars. I don't know why they haven't figured that out themselves. It's almost like they enjoy fighting, but it's not constructive fighting because no one wins, you just break everything. It's a weird cultural phenomenon. They're not really building anything. Just doesn't make sense. But people aren't observing the patterns which have already occurred. I mean, look at what happened with the COVID lockdowns. Spanish flu went through and everybody kind of ignored that it happened. And then we had COVID and it's like, this is new and we don't know what we're doing. If you look at the numbers compared to Spanish flu that we had with COVID, Spanish flu was a hell of a lot worse. We could have learned a shitload from that. But because there was such a gap in time and a generational gap in people, they just didn't look back and go, what were they doing back then that we could be doing now? The scientists were trying to justify what was going on, saying, look, we could be doing this, you should be doing this. But then you had a bunch of, morons in the population going, let's just drink bleach and that'll fix the COVID. It's like, no, that doesn't fix the COVID, that just poisons you fucking idiots. And you can YouTube that as well. You can Google that, because in America there was a shitload of people. I think Trump hinted towards something like drinking bleach would fix the problem. And they started fucking drinking bleach and going, you are insane. You haven't got the common sense you were born with. What the fuck? Why would you do that? Sitting there drinking Clorox, hoping it goes away. That's another problem, is like the underdeveloped education system just breeds stupidity in mass. I do think there is a dumbing down of the education system, which is proving a problem globally for anyone, because we're trying to make it easier for the kids because we don't want them to suffer what the previous generations did. Things like caning and corporal punishment. Corporal? Not capital. Capital is where you execute them. But at the same time, in this softening of the education system, we're losing something of the substance in the kinds of people we're creating is people aren't tougher anymore, but at the same time we don't want them to be tough because then you just got fucking trauma and shit like that and anger issues. So we're trying to find that mid ground, but it's a tough thing to do. And resilience is going out the window. The only reason I've got resilience is because I've been through enough fucking shit that I just don't care anymore. It's like my resilience is basically knowing shit's gonna go tits up, assuming it will, and being fucking surprised when it doesn't. So, you know, it's like applying for a job, I'm not gonna get it. And then you do get it, you go, okay. And you don't get to appreciate it either because you're just sitting there thinking, well, everything else is going fucking wrong, so how do I appreciate this? You don't, you just pass on. You go, well, it needed to be done anyway, and you keep going. It's a weird sort of paradox we created in my population, in my generation. Everything's sort of going wrong. We've got the boomers sitting there telling us that we're wrong, even though they're not showing us how to do anything properly because they fucked up what they were supposed to do. We got Gen Z after us who are lost, and we don't know how to guide them because we're sitting there looking at the boomers going, we just want parents that love us. You know, we're trying to get the basics, man. How can we pass this on? And we got Gen Z who are a bit softer than us, but they're also going to be facing harder consequences, which is going to be a nightmare for them. So challenging yourself, for example, in that instance is going to be horrible. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. The knock-on effect from a series of generations of people being fucked in the head has not helped them at all. I can see us as millennials getting the blame for that as well, just the same as Gen X get the blame from us. Boomers get the blame from us. It's going to be horrible. So what can we do to fix that, or at least help that situation, is try and develop some kind of individual autonomy where we actually challenge ourselves as individuals, not as a collective, to function properly if we can, with less harm and, you know, negative destructive tendencies compared to our former generations. That's what we're trying to do. It's a challenge because, you know, just like the Obama government had, Obama was a wonderful man, always a wonderful man, who knew what he was doing. He knew he had good ideas. He knew what he wanted to do, but unfortunately he was surrounded by a panel of fucking idiots who wouldn't let him do it. We need to get the documentation on this. This is not going to look good for our PR stocks. This is blah, 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 blah. It's like all this extra shit. He had a really good idea, but they wouldn't let him do it. Like Obamacare, for example. We know the American healthcare system is fucked. We know. Majority of things in America are fucked. They are living on the ethos that we're fucking amazing. It's like, we're just America, we're great, we're fucking amazing. But realistically, look at the brass tacks of it. Everything in your country is fucked. Everything is in your country except, you know, morbid obesity, which seems to be thriving, and greed in the 1%. So I don't know how they're going to fix that. It seems like you're realistically going to have to do something drastic. But at the same time, for example, you had those idiots that marched on Capitol. Not that they knew what they were going to fucking do when they got there. It's like, we're going to march on Capitol. You fucking rednecks. And then what? Because you've just collapsed your government, even if you do, you know, go in and do whatever you wanted to do. Collapse the government, then what? It's like those idiots that keep saying we want to get rid of the police. It's like, what would happen if you got rid of the police? Murders would go up, rapes, burglary, looting, riots, all the aggressive shit that you're afraid of because you're keyboard heroes would go up. Who's going to defend you? Who's going to protect you? Who's like, I'll protect myself. I can tell you now, you would not. You would assume you could, and most of us do, because we're all talking out our ass. We're sitting there going, what would I do if this situation went down? I would do this. It's like, we've got ideas, and in theory we have ideas, but in practical terms, it's like, no, we have not got the training for it. Some of us haven't got the bodily strength for it. We might have the mentality, we'd be fine with doing some stuff, but at the same time, it's like, when it comes to it, would you? Because people lose their mind over that shit. You've got a shitload of soldiers, for example, who go into these war zones, come out with PTS in a horrible fucking way, and then have to re-assimilate into the population of civvies. It doesn't fucking work. They get fucked in the head, and they can't understand what's going on. They get too angered and stressed with the, basically, dumbness of the population, because let's face it, soldiers are trained to survive in extreme examples of, you know, and they get surrounded by these fucking breeders whose only wish in life is to eat shit and fuck breeders. You know, they don't do anything. They have zero to no survival instincts, and that's what frustrates me as well. Because you look at these people who live in suburban areas, they are so used to convenience and having whatever they want when they need it, and the softness that comes from it. And yes, it's an ideal, but at the same time, it's not practical, because at some time your life's going to drop out the arse and you're going to have to find a way to survive. And these are the same idiots that sit there and turn around and says, well, you shouldn't live your life in survival mode. It's like, well, at some point you're going to have to, aren't you, fuckwit? But I don't want to, it's not nice. Who fucking cares? You're going to need it at least as a backup, you know? It's like, they just got so used to what I call the dumpy dumb fuckery of it all. They don't want to challenge themselves because it's too much like effort that might take energy, and this is where, dare I say it, where participation awards come from. Not that you've actually achieved anything in life, but you got a sticker for participating. You're like, no, fuck off. That's not an achievement. That's not testing to see if you've learned anything. That's going, you exist, therefore here's a cookie. It's fuck off. Why are we enabling this? No one's trying for excellence anymore because they're so readily happy to just accept subpar behavior. So, and that's a downward slope as well. People are just going to get lazier and lazier and lazier, more fucking, compliant, and they're not going to try anymore. They're going to be developing a sense of entitlement. It's like, well, I participated, I deserve that fucking cookie. And it's like, but you didn't do anything. You know, it's fucked up. You see this wave traveling through populations with each significant generation, saying I deserve, but they haven't done the fucking work. And dare I say, it does mimic the boomer mentality where you got to work for your pay, but at the same time, it doesn't take into consideration things like inflation. I will say that, which is making us work harder for the same shit, which is not fun. But it's also mixed in with the entitlement mindset. It's like, I deserve it because therefore I am. It's like, no. No. Which is why I liked it when the snowflake mentality went through. People started cracking the shits on that stuff. I'm a unique snowflake. It's like, DNA-wise, yes. Maybe individual life perspective, maybe, yes. Okay, I can see that. Narrative inquiry and social constructivism, I can see that. The fact that you think that makes you more important than someone is a fucking no. We're all still struggling to survive in this weird, fucked up climate. Why should you feel like you have to do less to get the same award as someone who's getting the work done, the job done? And that extends into like cronyism and necromancy. No, we're not going there. Nepotism and things like that. It's like people who get jobs just because they know a guy. That gives me the shits. I'm going, no, they haven't done the work. You need to do the fucking work. But I'm entitled because I know a guy. It's like, fuck your networking connections. Have you done the training? Are you practical in the situation? Because we're going to have a whole workforce of people as well who got hired because they know a guy. Not that they know what the fuck they're doing. And that just breeds incompetence. Again, participation awards. It's a sticker for knowing a guy. It's fucking retarded. I hate it. I hate it. People aren't getting tested anymore. Anyway, so that's my gripe on that shit. In terms of challenging yourself, challenge yourself because you need to know that you are capable. Fuck what anyone else thinks. You need to know that you can actually handle this shit should shit go down. Shit hits the fan, you want to be able to clean that shit or at least dodge it, right? People who do fuck all and expect the reward, give me the fucking shits. I don't do aesthetics. I don't do it looks good on paper. I do show me where it counts. So I will always promote the sense of show me. Don't tell me. Don't draw a pretty picture. I don't give a fuck. Show me actually doing it. Show me. I want result, and I want to see how you got there as well. Because if you're cheating, I don't want a fucking part of it. It's completely dishonorable. I want nothing to do with half-assery. I hate that shit. You didn't earn that. It's like these soldiers who wear medals and fake that they've been to on tour and stuff like that. What do they call it? Stolen glamour or stolen glory or something like that. Stolen valor. It's like, you haven't earned that. You don't have the right to wear that. You've got no background in that at all. You don't deserve it. But because they've, taken it from someone else, or they've, bought them on eBay or something like that, they assume that they can wear them. It's like, no, you don't get to wear that. It's bullshit. But then again, anyone who's a real soldier, like my granddad, Fred, was a commando, and my granddad Bob was in the tanks. My granddad Bob was full of shit. He would talk about all kinds of things. He would talk about how he's been all these places and stuff like that, which realistically made me think, you didn't actually do that, did you? I think, honestly, he spent like 2 years on base fixing the fucking tanks, and that was about it. I know he went through Belgium once, but that's about it, at least. But my granddad Fred would never talk about where he'd been, and I know for a fact that he's done some fucked up shit. He would never, a real soldier would never want to discuss what they've done because they're not proud of it. It's not a case of we're big manly men, we're being gung-ho and we're going to go fuck up some things. I mean, that's besides an American mindset, I think. They always seem to want to blow shit up regardless of whether it's the right thing to do or not. I think they're just excited by the flashing lights because they're retards. But, ooh, flashing lights. We all are. Look at the fireworks. But at the same time, any real soldier, my granddad was a commander here. I know he went and did some fucked up shit because my mum knows. And my mum knows because my grandma, his wife, knew. And she told and passed it down the stories. But my granddad would never fucking talk about it. He didn't want to. He wanted no part in it. Because by the time you get out of that situation, you've done so much fucked up shit and it hurts you on the inside that you just don't want to pass that shit on. Don't be proud of it, right? Some people are proud of it because they feel like they were following some kind of ethos that was the right thing to do. But a real soldier wouldn't be proud of having to kill someone because it's not just a case of killing a soldier. It's a case of sometimes having to kill civilians and things like that accidentally or, under order or stuff like that. I've been watching one of the SAS soldiers, who's an Australian one at the moment, who's going through court because he committed war crimes. I think he was known as the Spartan or something like that, and he kicked a handcuffed Afghani off a cliff or something like that, execution style. And various crimes like that. He encouraged one of his new recruits to blood himself by shooting a Afghani granddad. Shit like that. Real soldiers would not be proud of that. If you brag about that, you'd be fucking stupid. First of all, it's a wild crime. You get in trouble for it. You get, as he's getting court-martialed and all kinds of things, going to prison and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like it's not something that's part of the masculine state that really needs to be encouraged. Men are meant to be protectors and protecting in defense, not in attack. You don't go out looking for fucking trouble, but when it presents, you defend. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Which is why I get pissed off when I see so many people thinking, I'm going to go out and fuck someone up. It's like, no, you're creating problems where there shouldn't be problems. That's stupid. You could have had a very easy, peaceable life, but you decided to be a fucking idiot. Which is still why I'm getting pissed off with Putin, actually, because he could have had a very easy retirement, just fishing like he normally does every year, but he started to invade another country. It's like, you fucking boomers. But, I know I go on tangents. I'm going to have to hurry up soon because I'm nearly at work. But at the same time, it's like you should challenge yourself. And I'm not saying invade another country to prove a point. I am saying that looking at shit circumstances we all find ourselves in, you have the prime opportunity to prove your worth in that way. Not that you need external validation, because most of the time that's bullshit anyway. And it's subject to the context you find yourself in. Some people's amazing person is not going to be another person's amazing person. It's just going to be another douche that stands on the top of their car and screams and beats their chest. For example, I'm looking at you, Capitol Hill riots. It's like, you fucking idiots. But when it comes to, resisting the negative spiral, the down spiral of horrible circumstances. Like, for example, I grew up in poverty. I then went into a marriage which was not great. I then found an ex-boyfriend worse. My choices made me decide that I didn't want to fuck up my life, basically. When I left my marriage, I decided I'm not going to let him win, because I know it would stroke his ego for me to give up the fight and stop trying and just to curl up in a ball and say, I can't live without you and shit like that. Don't do that. That's what they want. That's just another form of bullying. Fuck them. Go out and do something. Outdo the fucker. Come back and then stick up their ass, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of challenge I'm facing with kids in my workplace. They get bullied because they're a bit different. And it's a lot of kids, not really autistic kids, funny enough, but the normative ones. We say normative. But because they want to be different, but they still want to fit in, but they want to be slightly different, you know, customize your own life, they're getting shit from their peers. And I'm sitting there going, look, man, we've got an inclusive classroom. Don't be a fucking idiot. You don't actually say that because most of the time they're like 5 to 10 years old. But don't be a fucking idiot. We try and promote them to encourage them to recognize that everybody's different. Everybody's going to have their own choices in life, and this is a little blip on the scale of what's going to happen with the rest of your life. I mean, primary school only lasts from 5 till 12 years old, and then you head up to high school, and that's another 4 years or so. And it doesn't really go anywhere after that unless you make it go somewhere with uni or TAFE or whatever you want to do. There are steps in your evolution that's going to cause you to face different challenges. What you think is some kind of horrible apocalyptic scenario now is going to be nothing compared to you when you hit your 30s or when you hit your 40s, or, you know, it gets worse and it gets easier. It also gets the format in it changes. For example, I know when I hit 80, my hips are fucked and they're going to go bad. Maybe 80, maybe 70, could be 60. My mum's 66, she just had hip surgery. I know that's in my genetic line. I know diabetes is in my genetic line. I'm trying to condition my responses now so that I can reduce the problems later on. Which is why I still get pissed off when people say, why aren't you just living in the now? Because I'm not a fucking idiot. Pretty much. Don't just live in the now. Don't be dumb. You're supposed to be fixing this shit, not just existing. But yeah, anyway, I go crazy over that shit. I could whine and bitch about that anyway. But set yourself challenges. Don't just settle for bullshit as well. Don't just say this is my life. I mean, if I had settled for the life I was being shown in my childhood to my 20s, for example, I would have God knows how many illegitimate kids. I'd be on Centrelink. I'd possibly be in an abusive relationship. I wouldn't have no job. I would be living in a shit rental. And that would be my life because I didn't bother challenging myself. I didn't bother saying this is not good enough for me. I don't want to get an education or something like that. Because education, for example, was always promoted. It was the one things my parents actually encouraged us is like, you go into school, you're going to go do well. And if you don't, and if you fail, you're going to get fucked up by us. So that was the only thing that was promoted. It was negative promotion, to be honest, because it was based on fear and aggression, fear of failure. And that came from my parents. But generally, it swings and roundabouts wise, it was a good promoter of constructive behavior, I guess, through negative ways. Oh my god! But my lifestyle would have been very, very different if I'd have stayed with my ex-husband. If my 2 babies had survived back in 2006 to 2008, I would have teenagers now. My life would have been very different. If I'd spiraled after that completely, because I did spiral a little bit, my life would have been very different. I could very possibly be an alcoholic. I could have done so many horrible things to myself just because I didn't want to cope and deal with it or push forward in the shit that I found myself in. Instead, I decided, and by choice, and we all have choice, you have choice, you don't have to fucking spiral. You can get really angry, utilize that anger and change your fucking life because anger is a transformative emotion. It is. It can be constructive or it can be destructive. It's your choice which format you decide to take. But I chose to get better. I decided, looking at that year, as 2008 in particular, I would stop the bullshit and I would finish school and I would get a job and try and promote, growth in my life. 2008. 2011 I got married and I applied for an apartment 2013. And I started trying to grow in my life. I didn't just spiral, take drugs and say, fuck it, I don't care anymore. It was a challenge, yes, because we were dealing with, really shitty circumstances. And if you go back and look at the other podcasts I did about what the fuck I've done with my life so far, you'd know that there was a lot of ways that could have gone that would have just not been great. But luckily, you challenge yourself and you pull your head out your ass and you keep going, right? You can, at any time, you can pull your life out of the shitter. Absolutely. You just got to find the trick. And there's always a trick. There's always a way out. There's always there's There's so many hidden exits and entrances and all kinds of things. You think about that movie Labyrinth. If you're a millennial kid, you know what the Labyrinth is. You know, David Bowie in hot pants. Well, not really hot pants, but he's sitting there in, I think they're like riding pants with giant cod pieces. Slightly disturbing looking back as an adult. But when she's going through the labyrinth, this girl, she's faced with a lot of... the walls feel like they're gone forever. There feels like there is no exit. Go and look at the movie. It's fucking awesome. I love the little caterpillar in it. Everybody does. And the dance magic puppets. But anyway. But she's stuck in a labyrinth and she can't find her way out. She starts having this, you know, bordering on seizure because she can't get her own way. And she's like a teenager and is like, it's not fair. My life's not fair. But you think about it, there are easy exits out of there. You just got to open your eyes and start thinking. I mean, if she'd stuck her hand on the wall and followed the fucking wall, she would have noticed there's a big gaping hole in the fucking wall and actually gone through it. Maybe. I don't know. But, you know, people aren't willing to do that unless it really takes something horrible and triggering to get them to move their ass. You get stuck in a horrible relationship and you feel like it's a never-ending labyrinth. Usually there's a loophole that will help you get out of that. For example, my marriage, the loophole was I'm monogamous. I'm not taking someone who is not monogamous. I will leave this shithole. This is my labyrinth. I'm out of it now. I'm not doing this. And then I got faced with a similar problem with my ex-boyfriend. And I looked at this and goes, I know this trick. I'm not doing this. I'm leaving this labyrinth too. Fuck this. Stop sticking me in labyrinths. But, you know, it's a lot of people just don't want to bother trying to challenge themselves into getting a better life because they're comfortable with the familiarity. There's another problem. Being comfortable with the familiar shit zone that you've set yourself up for. You don't have to. If you don't like your job, you can go back, retrain and do something else. If you don't like your relationship and your partner's a piece of shit, leave. Take the kids. It might be a bit harder if you've got kids or if you've got property, and it might take a bit longer and a bit more time and a bit more effort. But realistically, you don't have to sit in that. You can just leave. I mean, how many dads in the area I grew up in just went, fuck this, and left? It's actually, tell the truth, where I was raised, the area was notorious for dads just leaving. So maybe that's the kind of challenge they'll face with. It's like, this is just too hard. Fuck it. And I'm not saying run away from responsibilities. You need to find some kind of solution that fits your conscience. It's like, don't just abandon your kids, but you can find a way to make it work, obviously. As adults, you have a responsibility and a duty. If you created a child, then yes, you do need to find a way to support it. Not just financially, but also emotionally, psychologically, and stuff like that. This is you. It's half you. So you do need to actually get in there and do something about that. But at the same time, if the parent, for example, that you're co-parenting with is an absolute piece of shit, cheats on you, you don't even know if the kid's yours. To be honest, check if it's your kid. That's an insurance policy. I always say that, and it sounds cold-hearted, but at the same time, if you're creating a bill or if you're included in a bill, you'd want to know that you made the bill, right? It sounds cold-hearted and calculating, maybe, I don't know, but I don't have kids. But at the same time, it's like, if someone says you own half this house, I'd want to know that my name's on the fucking lease and not some other guy's, right? So, you know, it's just double check your facts before you start just handing money over some asshole, right? That's a lot of guys get cuckolded that way. Some girls got pregnant to another guy and she conveniently suddenly wants to marry you because I'm pregnant. It's like, yeah, but is it his? It's like, yeah, but he's got a good job and he's stable and, you know, I've trauma bonded him into staying. So, of course, you know, he's going to stay because I've abandonment issues and poor decision-making capabilities. So, fuck it, I'm going to get pregnant by another guy. It's a long story. I have a lot of these scenarios that I've been watching for the last 40 years. It's weird. But people do it in cycles and make shit decisions and then worry about the consequences afterwards. Like, this is stupid. It's like running up a credit card bill and thinking, wait a minute, I don't have a job. Fuck. You know, you're not thinking about the consequences. It's not the Protestant work ethic. What can I say? But yeah, you should be challenged. I do go off on tangents. You should be challenging yourself. You can get out of shit circumstances if the conditions are not nice, if they're not good for you, if it's tearing you down on the inside or on the outside, if you're feeling haggard, if you're feeling drained, then it's probably not for you. Either you can try and fix it, which is a possibility as well. I'm not saying slash and burn everything like I do. I am saying that some things should be slashed and burned because you're just delusional if you stay. And with that note, I'm probably going to have to leave it there because I've got to go and handle 30 year 6 kids, and they're all about 12 years old and hormonal. But I put myself in these circumstances. I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic, oh Christ, what day is it? Thursday. Take it easy, and I will hopefully chat to you. Oh my God, I'm so fucking tired. I will chat to you hopefully on the way back, if I'm not completely half dead. All right, take it easy, guys. Don't forget to challenge yourself. You can do it. All right, bye.